We're hoping. All right, welcome to today's Q&A. Joking because yesterday's Facebook page or Facebook Live was not, I don't even know if I should say spotty. It was bad. The internet connection, whether I was on Wi-Fi or whether I was direct, it just did not want to work. So here we are. Welcome to today's Q&A. My name is Jessie. I'm with Decker Truck Line, and we are an over-the-road carrier as well as regional. We have mostly refrigerated and flatbed opportunities available right now. And as always, this is an opportunity for you to get your questions answered. Feel free to ask and then get them answered. Put your questions in the chat and then I will answer them as we go about. Of course, I'll share some information about the company, qualifications, orientation process, benefits, equipment, available positions, all the stuff that I can think of we'll be sharing today. But if you have a specific question, that's where you put it in the chat. And help me out a little bit, will you? Put your zip code as well as the years of experience, and then I can be a little more specific on what we have available instead of saying, it depends. Gotta love that. All right, Katie's there as well in the chat as you see the Decker Truck Line. So waving to Katie. Thank you so much for that. 57 degrees, she says. You know what? It's beautiful here as well. Now I'm looking, I don't know what temperature is, but 48 and sunny it says. 48 and sunny, it's got to be nicer than that. It's beautiful, so I'll take it. Anyways, welcome to today's Q&A. Thank you so much for joining us, talking about some of the available positions that we have here at Decker Truck Line and what those steps are. So we've got some big news coming around the corner that we can't wait to share. So that should be coming up here in the next, you might get a pop-up video here later this week. But in the meantime, we do have another big event coming up on the 19th, which is Tuesday. We have our Driver of the Year Awards and actually our Decker Awards ceremony coming up on the 19th. It's at 7 p.m. You can watch that live on our Facebook page, but we'll also put it on our YouTube page for the replay. I'm getting a lot of spotty video. I don't know if you guys are. It does say excellent condition or condition. Excellent connection. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it's okay for you. Anyways, we do have that big event coming up on the 19th, this coming Tuesday. So not today, a week from today. If you guys are registered to attend, awesome. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have a blast. For those who haven't yet, make sure you get those in. The registrations need to be in ASAP. We have wonderful, well-deserving professional drivers who have earned that title for Driver of the Year for their specific division, as well as we'll talk about some of the million milers. Okay, good. Thanks, Katie. We'll talk about some of our million mile winners. We'll talk about what it takes to earn these positions, and there is a lot that goes into it. So we're not just looking at your scorecard, and we're not looking just at your safety bonus. Those are our 2 monthly bonuses, which we'll be getting more information on that in about a week and a half, 2 weeks. We'll be talking more about the monthly bonuses. But in the meantime, to give you an idea of the breakdown for the Driver of the Year, you have to earn Driver of the Month first. And Driver of the Month means that you've got a pretty darn good scorecard as well as a safety bonus or safety score. Yeah. So the safety score, perfect score is a 0. And for the perfect score for the scorecard, it's 1,000. So you want the highest scorecard and the lowest safety score that in order to maximize your bonus, which would get you an extra 5 cents a mile on all the miles that you earned. Well, between those, and not just those, but with that, we choose the Driver of the Month. You can only earn Driver of the Month one time within a calendar year, and then that one time, however, puts you in the running for Driver of the Year. And so, for our Driver of the Year winners, and again, I do want to remind you, this is the end of the first quarter of 2024 that we're celebrating these numbers, but honestly, the earned time is during 2023. So these are 2023 awards. Driver of the Year for 2023. Hey Chuck, how are you? Happy Tuesday. So the Driver of the Year awards for 2023, we have Darren Ladley earning our Midwest Refrigerated Dry Van division, earning the title for Driver of the Year. Chad Hazelton winning the title for our Western Refrigerated Dry Van division. Now I do want to say kind of a background on a couple of these guys. Darren has worked inside, like in-house for Decker for a little over 20 years, I believe. He worked as a recruiter. I worked right alongside of him for 14 years, I believe, is how long he was in recruiting. And then he was also our driver services, our retention manager. So he worked in retention for quite some time. He helped design the lease purchase program. But then we also had he also drove like during the weekends and sometimes during the week even. So he was putting miles on the truck in addition to working in the office. So he's, it's not new to him. He's got coming up on 40 years experience. It's just not new to him. He knows the name of the game. What's interesting to me though, and what is exciting to me is that Darren helped to coach a lot of people to get the driver of the month. Like he would help identify where you need to focus or what you need to focus on in order to get that driver of the month scorecard, the ideal one. And now he's doing it. So not only can he teach it, he can do it. And I think that's pretty awesome. So congratulations, Darren, on that. Chad Hazelton, speaking of being able to do it, Chad has earned the has earned the Driver of the Year for the Western Refrigerated Division, I believe four times. Is that right? We'll have all of these stats for each of the individuals coming up here next week, but we'll really break it down and give you some history on it. But Chad has earned it multiple times for Driver of the Year. And Driver of the Year puts you in the runnings for Grand Champion. So each of these drivers, Darren and Chad, we have Dustin Likens. Dustin he's new to the trucking industry. He only has 2.5 years of experience, and he's already earned the Driver of the Year award. That's pretty impressive because these guys are going up against, Darren, like I said, he's coming up on 40 years here in April. Chad's got at least 20, right? Trying to remember how many. Chad's been with Decker since 2011, and I know he drove several years before that. I'm trying to remember how many altogether. I think Chad's pushing 20, 25 years. You've got Anthony Vasquez. Tony is our Southern flatbed or over-the-road flatbed division winner, and Tony has won multiple times for Driver of the Year. He's even won Grand Champion. He's even won the Grand Champion position, and that's huge because that's a $15,000 prize. That's huge. So Dustin is in the running with a great group of guys. Matt Neerling, another professional driver who he went into lease purchase pretty darn quick. So he transitioned from company to lease purchase in 2022, which he was fairly new to the industry, coming into Decker, fairly new to the industry, and he's already earned Driver of the Year in our lease purchase division. So let's see. For Matt is 3.5 years of driving experience? Yeah, so even though we've got some guys who are way up there in years of experience, we also have a couple of guys who are fairly new to the industry. Less than 5 years to me is fairly new compared to a lot of our professional drivers. So it's pretty impressive how well everybody's done. And think about that too. It is attainable. And I think a lot of people are concerned with, I'm new to Decker, there's no way I can get it. That is not true. If you can get Driver of the Month within the calendar year, you are in the running for Driver of the Year. And if you are one of the 5 for Driver of the Year, that means that you go into the running for the grand champion. So it goes from a $3,000 prize as driver of the year to a $15,000 prize for the grand champion. So yeah, it's totally doable. And Matt and Dustin are prime examples of that. So yes, Lone Wolf Trucking, greetings from Missouri. Hello. And yes, congratulations. Thank you, Chuck. Yeah, congratulations to all of them. Now, I won't go into all the details for each one, but we'll let Dale do that come the 19th, right? So we can learn a little bit more about them. But I do want to give a huge shout out to our million mile earners. These guys, these are safe driving miles, you guys. Over 1 million safe driving miles. Robert Anderson, speaking of individuals who are not new to the Driver of the Year Awards, Robert Anderson, Demetrius Anthony, Carl Brock, Timothy Crow. We will be recognizing Timothy along with several of our other million mile winners. Unfortunately, Timothy had passed here in February, but we definitely want to recognize him and honor him for his time here at Decker, as well as his miles out on the road, all he's done for the industry. Troy Zeck, Larry Dew, Gary Garrison, Charles Gans, again, having experience on earning that Driver of the Year award. David Hooper, my fellow Montanan, Darren Ladley, Stephen Lacrone, Robert Mobley, yes, again, Mobley, Telly Montanez, William Parrish, William Perez, Jesse Porter, Sean Robinson, David Rogers, Hector Sanchez, David Sorrell, Gary Wilson, and Charles Wobel. Those are our 1 million mile winners. 1 million mile earners. Those are safe driving miles, you guys. That's huge. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22? Did I count right? 22 professional drivers here at Decker earned their 1 million miles this year. It was in 2023, you guys. I'm not counting any of our million mile earners from years past, or those who are borderline. That's just for 2023. And plus, we have 2 million mile winners, Warren Exelburn, John Hodges, Irvin Kilberg, and Lyle Turville, which again, you probably see those names fairly often. You know, I mean, safe driving miles, you guys. That's 2 million miles, which you think is like ridiculously impressive, right? And then Dean Filmer and Alvin Johnson, they come in and say, well, I got 3. 3 million miles, safe driving miles. And then Jamie Beam. Jamie is taking the cake this year with 4 million miles. So another huge congratulations to Jamie. And you know, if as we go along, maybe we'll be able to recognize some of these guys again here in the near future as we continue to calculate their miles, not only with Decker, but their professional commercial miles out on the road with other companies as well. And we'll be able to recognize their achievements. That's huge. That's totally huge. And we just love to see that. So very cool. Very cool. Yes, congratulations. Absolutely. Wow, impressive. I think that's impressive too. I'm just hoping day to day. All right, well, as for the driving positions, we kind of hit on that just briefly. We do have available driving positions in our over-the-road refrigerated. And if we're kind of giving you an idea of where this is, we have available positions out of Portland, Oregon, Hermiston, Oregon, Pendleton, Oregon, that area. And then we also have some positions, over-the-road refrigerated positions out of areas of Nevada, Vegas. We have areas of Washington, Seattle, Tacoma, the Tri-Cities into Spokane. We are currently hiring over-the-road refrigerated out of there. And then we also have our over-the-road refrigerated based out of Missoula, Montana. Now, Missoula, Montana is one of our terminals, started in 2010. And so we have over-the-road there as well. Keep in mind that even though we have terminals in different locations, I do want to make sure that it's clear that those positions, if you're going to be driving based out of another terminal, you're still going to be going to orientation in Fort Dodge, Iowa. And just because you're in our over-the-road refrigerated division doesn't mean your driver manager will be in Missoula. They could also be in Fort Dodge or Des Moines, so there's a little bit of difference there. But yes, we have a terminal in Missoula, the full shop, wash bay, all the fixins. So yeah, all of that there, which brings me... Let me double check on this. Okay. And then we also have or of course we've got the pet area in Missoula as well. We allow dogs in the truck, so if you have a dog that you'd like to ride with you, as long as it's not more than 85 pounds, and it's not an aggressive breed, we do have a dog policy available too. Now in Fort Dodge, we have a dog wash bay. So we have our truck wash bay, and then you have the dog wash bay. So you have that as well. And then, let's see, what else do we have for Missoula? Of course, we have like I said, we've got the full shop and the detailing. We also have the fuel island. We have driver lounge. Not only a shared driver lounge, but we also have the private rooms, which kind of give you a little bit of your own space. If your truck's in the shop, you've got your own space. You can shut the door. Big lounge chair, desk, telephone, TV. You know, if there's things that you need to get done and you don't need all that outside noise, those private rooms are nice. But there is obviously that community area as well at the terminal. Now, in addition to that, we have the washer and dryer. So there's free laundry facility there. And of course, we've got the shower as well, and towels available. If you notice that the towels need to be washed, please let us know, or you can throw them in. But let us know so that we can make sure we're on top of that. Our staff in Missoula takes care of that. But yeah, for the most part, that's our Missoula terminal, but it's part of our over the road. And then we also hire in the Salt Lake City area for that position. We have positions available out of Denver, Colorado, in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and then areas of the Midwest. If we hire in the areas in the Midwest for our regional positions, we also have the option for over the road. So out west, those are not regional, those are OTR, though you're usually out about 2 to 3 weeks at a time, home for 3 to 4 days. And figure for every day and a half or for every 7 days you're out, it's a day and a half home time for home time. So, and you can bring your truck home with you on your home time. The only exception is if you live in Montana, you'll be bringing the truck and trailer to Missoula on your home time, so we can take care of that. So, yes. Chuck says, can the LP run just the West 11 states? Our freight doesn't run that way where it would be regional. Let me rephrase that. Our freight runs that direction, but it doesn't run in a dedicated or regional route out west. So no, we wouldn't be able to accommodate that. Now, we can keep you west of the Mississippi, but that's going to include Iowa and Illinois and Indiana, Texas, Oklahoma, Minnesota, Wisconsin, probably some Michigan, and and Colorado. So we would keep you west of there, or could, but it's coast to coast. Most of it's going to be west of the Mississippi. So that kind of gives you an idea. But that's going to be for both both the company and the lease purchase. Our lease purchase program, when you're eligible for that, you are ran very similar to a company driver. Now, of course, your pay is different because you're paid on a percentage. It's 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge. And then you have expenses. So your pay is obviously significantly higher. You've got some expenses. So a lot of, some of that's going to cancel each other out. But your ran, scheduled, planned, communication, things like that are going to be very similar in alignment with our company drivers. So that it's not a big difference in running lanes or available positions, if that makes sense. Now, and then we have our more regional refrigerated areas that we hire out of. Dallas, Texas, Amarillo, Texas, good spots for us right now. St. Louis, nope, not for refrigerated, hang on. Kansas City. Kansas City is a really good area for us. We've got some in Lincoln and Omaha. And then, yeah, Omaha's real busy for us. Pretty much the whole state of Iowa. Our main terminal is in Fort Dodge. And Fort Dodge has, of course, the detail shop and the wash bays and the washer and dryer and a lot of our driver services, of driver amenities are there. We have our welcome center and driver's lounge, private rooms, a couple of games in there as well. Do we still have the foosball? Yeah. So we have that. And then we also have the dog washing center. We have the dog walking area, walking path around the pond. And so, yeah, there's quite a bit in Fort Dodge, of course. Over and beyond that, we've got our decal shop and even more for the trucks. So that's our main terminal. Orientation is in Fort Dodge. We'll come back to orientation, but it is a 3-day orientation for experienced drivers. And then for our terminal out of Des Moines is more of it's a shop that's there that you'd see is the shop. We do have an outlying area that is some of our dispatch and stuff like that, but mostly the shop, and not as many amenities out of the Des Moines shop as we have in others. Now, as for the truck, we can take pretty good care of you, and that's why we put it there, is for your convenience. We do have a car that you can sign out and use while your truck's in the shop, because there aren't laundry facilities there, so this way you can go and take care of, get some laundry done, maybe get some shopping done if you need to get some groceries, kind of get those errands figured out while your truck is being serviced, A and B serviced, so that you're not just having to sit there if you have things that you want to get done. But yeah, there's a 3-hour limit on signing out the cars. You have one available in Missoula, Fort Dodge, Des Moines, Bessemer, are locations that we have it. I think those are the only locations that we have it, now that I say that. And speaking of Bessemer, Alabama is more of our flatbed terminal. We do have some refrigerated trucks that will park there during their home time, but if they choose. But yeah, it is more of a flatbed terminal. We've got driver managers there. We do have the full shop as well, and some of the amenities, the driver's lounge and washer and dryer and stuff like that. So yeah, you've got those available to you out of Bessemer also. What am I missing? Now, for more of the refrigerated positions, we talked a little bit about Iowa being a great location, Chicago being fantastic for us. We've got a lot of freight there. Southern Wisconsin, parts of Michigan, Minnesota, into Illinois, basically north of 80. And same for Indiana. We've got some freight into Ohio. Down in the southeast, we have over the road. So it'd be getting you home about every 10 days if you live in the Atlanta, Georgia area, areas of Alabama, Birmingham. I think in Louisiana, we have some out 10 days at a time there, which gets you 3 days home time. We also have some area in Mississippi. But again, just reach out to us. Let us know what your zip code is, and then we'll be more specific on, hey, we can get you home this often, this much home time, bringing the truck home, all the details. Here's the pay, that kind of thing. Okay, and then for our flatbed, we have a couple of different flatbed divisions. They are the over-the-road flatbed, which would get you home every other weekend, and then we have the flatbed that will get you home on a weekly basis. Currently, our home weekly opportunities are based in the Midwest, and our over-the-road are Midwest as well as in the Southeast. So if you live in anywhere from Texas to the Carolinas, Kentucky, Tennessee, anywhere in between there, we can get you home. Again, double check the hiring area because there are some locations here and there that aren't within that. But we can get you home every other weekend for our over-the-road flatbed division. you have a minimum pay of $1,000 a week, so you'll know you'll have at least $1,000 a week, but your rate of pay per mile on the miles that you run, odds are you're going to be making more than that. So you'll get the better of the two. If you are in the refrigerated division, we have the same thing, minimum pay, where you'll make at least $1,000 a week. But again, your rate of pay per mile on the miles you run, if they exceed that, you'll get the better of the two. Now with the home weekly options, those depend on where you live. You'll either get $1,000 a week, but we also have a division, a home weekly division, that we can get you home weekly basis and a minimum pay of $14.50. So that's a little bit more. I want to give you a heads up. That one currently, as of right now, and please, if you get a minute, go watch the hiring event that we posted last week. That'll really break it down for you what that position entails. It's $14.50 a week minimum pay, and it gets you home weekly, probably on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, back out either Sunday night or Monday morning, usually for a Monday morning delivery. So depending how far you are from your delivery, that's going to determine, do I have to go out on Sunday or do I have to, or am I good leaving out Monday morning? But that's our Midwest Flatbed $14.50. It currently has an $8,000 sign-on bonus. So $8,000 sign-on bonus. If that's something that you're interested in, get a hold of the recruiting department. 877-433-2537. We'll get the ball rolling for you. I need a notebook. Is this the right one? No. That's right. I'll write it down. So we will get the ball rolling for you for the Midwest Flatbed if that's what you're looking for. Video. There we go. Okay. And that one is a lot smaller area. Iowa, Illinois, Indiana. Man, it's best to just draw this out for you. Think of Fort Dodge, Iowa, to Iowa City, down to St. Louis, Missouri, on over to Columbus, Ohio, north to Toledo, Ohio, over to Chicago, north to Milwaukee, back down to Mason City, Iowa, and then over to close it back up into Fort Dodge, Iowa. That whole area, that is going to get you home on a weekly basis with the $14.50. Steven says, tell them about the paycheck agreement they have to sign when they get on board. Yes. So we have an online, so this is the long story to get to it, but yes, we have a repayment agreement that you will sign, and you will sign when you get to orientation. So actually, if I'm not mistaken, it will be sent to you during the online orientation. I might need to double check on that one. But I think it's sent to you during your online orientation. Once you get approved for orientation, meaning we've ran your background and your MVR, your PSP report, we've got employment verifications. We've done all of that. You don't have more than 2 moving violations in the last 2 years or last 3 years. You don't have more than 1 in the last 12 months. You don't have more than 3 incidents in the last 3 years. Like, you meet the qualifications, okay? So we move on to the next where we start running the reports, then get you approved. We send you we get you scheduled for your urinalysis and your hair follicle drug test, as well as the online orientation and then setting you up for orientation, right? Oh, and physical, that's the other thing is. And your physical. If your physical is good for another 6 months, you're good. We just need you to send it on over to us so we can sign off on it. So I believe that the repayment agreement is seen in the online orientation, which is sent to you before you come to orientation. So that part I need to double check. And then the other part, if it's not, it would be in orientation itself. It would be in orientation itself. But what it is that repayment agreement. Okay, cool. Thanks, Steven. I couldn't remember. So what that is that repayment agreement is basically a reflection of what Decker has invested in you to get you to orientation, to get you approved. Oh, we take care of your hotel and your meals while you're here. We take care of transportation here, which is usually a rental car. Sometimes you guys will choose a flight, which is fine. Sometimes you'll choose a rental car, and of course we pay for the gas as well. So when all of those things, the rental car, all of that, hotel, meals, physical, drug test, all of that is put on that repayment agreement. So that's why we have these long conversations with you ahead of time. That's also why we provide these Q&As for you, so that we can answer the questions up front and make sure you have a really good understanding of everything before you come to Decker. And then that repayment agreement is just showing you this is basically what it costs to have everything done ahead of time and to get you for orientation. You would be responsible for a portion of that. So the total, you would be responsible for a portion of that if you left within the first 6 months. But every month we knock $100 off. So let's say it was, I don't know, $700. Think rental car, gas, hotel, meals. Those are usually what adds it up. So you've got, let's say $700, okay? And you've been here for 2 months and you decide, nope, it's not a good fit. So then we would knock $200 off. It'd be a $500 agreement. Now the whole point is to make sure, as a recruiter, we've done our due diligence and you are well aware and understand what the position is. You know that you'll be home weekly in a home weekly position. You know if it's an over-the-road position, you're out 2 to 3 weeks. So it's our job to make sure that you are educated on the position. It's also your job to make sure that you ask the questions that are relevant. So, for instance, if you know that you don't want to run nights, we're probably not a good fit. We run nights. So that's why you'll get the true answer from us, but sometimes those are questions that we're not asked, and so we don't think that is that would be an issue for you, or that would be a concern. So please ask the questions that may or may not affect you. What's another one that I see? Oh, if you're in the refrigerated division and you can't haul alcohol or pork, we haul both. So that's another thing that we need to make sure you're asking the right questions that may or may not affect you. Okay. In refrigerated, if you need to be home on every weekend, we can't do that. Now, flatbed, that's a different story. Flatbed, we can get you home, like I said, Friday night or Saturday morning, and then back out either Sunday night or Monday morning. We can't do that in the refrigerated, because even on the positions that are 5 days out and 2 days home, because sometimes those days will be a Thursday, Friday, or a Sunday, Monday. It just depends on the freight, right? So refrigerated freight can run all week. So that's why I can't guarantee the home weekends in the refrigerated division. Those are all conversations that we need to have up front. So Stephen, that was a great point. Thank you for making that. So again, what he's referring to is when he says the paycheck agreement, that I'm right. Yeah. Making sure that paycheck agreement is saying it's a repayment agreement is what we call it, but you'll have an expectation form that your recruiter will fill out along with you, and then you'll also sign it and fill it out on the online orientation as well, and that repayment agreement should be with it. So they should be hand in hand. So the expectation form says this is the job. And this conversation, by the way, is a conversation you've had with your recruiter already, but they are just making sure, reassuring you that, hey, here is what we talked about, this is what we said, and then have you sign it. That way, if you were to come in and be like, but you told me home weekly, and look, the repayment or the expectation form says home weekly. It saves you as well as the company. Like, it recognizes for you as well as the company. Now, again, with that repayment agreement, if you're here over 6 months, it doesn't even matter what that cost was, how much we invested to begin with, because it's null and void at that point because you're beyond that 6-month period. But yeah, there you go. Billy says, Stephen, by the way, thank you for bringing that up. That's something that I don't always bring up, and I need to remember to. So that's a good one. Okay, Billy is out of Tennessee, Clarksville. That's a good spot for us. 19 years experience doing OTR. What's the cents per mile, and how many miles can I average a week, staying out 4 to 6 weeks at a time? Also, can I pretty much stay west of I-35? Okay, so let's start with the available positions. If you're looking to stay west, I'm not going to talk about flatbed, okay? Because my flatbed doesn't really run west of Denver. So it's pretty much Denver east. So Billy, we're talking refrigerated, and that's what you're doing now. So that's fantastic. In the cents per mile with 19 years of experience, you'll be at our highest starting pay, which right now is at 65 cents a mile. That does not cap at 65. It actually caps at 70. So with 19 years of experience, you get a penny raise after 90 days. Then you'll get a penny raise annually until you hit the cap. So once you hit 70 cents a mile, as of right now. Now, who's to say that cap won't go up? I don't know. But as of right now, I mean, eventually, I'm sure. But right now, that's where it's at. That does not include any of the bonuses. So all the bonuses can go way over the cap. I'm cool with that. But that's just your base pay. So 65 cents a mile, 10 cents of that's per diem, so you're not taxed on it. And so the 55 cents is taxed. Raise after 90 days, raise it annually. So that's the cents per mile. Your next question was, and you want to stay out 4 to 6 weeks. So you're definitely looking at the over-the-road division, which will get you more miles for sure. I don't have average miles for somebody who stays out 4 to 6 weeks. Now, you can definitely do that. Keep in mind, for every 7 days you're out, it's a day and a half home time. So you can rack up those days at home. And then once you take them, they don't, you can't carry them over to the next time, if that makes sense. I know most of you know that, but sometimes I get those questions. Anyways, what was something else I was going to answer on that? So, give me a sec. For the average miles, that's what it was. So for the average miles for that one, I don't have the average for people who stay out 4 to 6 weeks. Usually it's around 3 weeks that people are staying out, and then they're home for 4 or 5 days. But you can stay out 4 to 6 weeks. We definitely have that option. My average that I can give you is probably around 23 for that's probably lower than what it should be. But usually it's 23 to 2,600 a week for the over-the-road refrigerated, right? Yeah, refrigerated. So you're looking over $1,400 to $1,600 a week based off of your starting pay minimum. Now, that being said, you can make more miles. I'm going off of the average, and a lot of our drivers are getting home weekly, so it's skewing my average miles for you. So I don't have an exact number to give you. It's just like a 23 to 2,600 a week. So I'm sorry I don't have a more specific answer to give you because I've got so many variables in there. But yeah, you can stay out that long. Chuck says, when you finish an orientation, do you get to the house on the first trip to grab the rest of your items? Not 100% for those to get home on their... I'm just realizing how terribly I was answering that question. Okay, Chuck, we get you home on one of your first dispatches. So what I was getting at is it might not be your very first one because we're getting you home through a dispatch. So it might be coming out of Fort Dodge, because you have to usually get somewhere first before Fort Dodge. So coming out of Fort Dodge, if you live in, well, let's use Billy's location out of Tennessee. So if you're coming out of Fort Dodge, you might have to go to Chicago first and then over to Tennessee. It might be two loads later, but one of the first, yes. Our goal is to get you home to get the rest of your stuff on as quickly as possible, because we know you can't bring everything. I mean, we do get you a rental car, but it's still, I mean, you still usually don't bring everything with you. So we want to get you home as soon as possible to get the rest of your stuff. And it could be just on a through. So if you're, give a for instance, if you are coming out of Fort Dodge, Iowa for orientation, which is where you'd be coming out of, and you're going to the Carolinas, we could get you through the house. If you're out of Tennessee, we could get you through the house to get your stuff. We just want to make sure that we have enough load or enough time on the load so that you can pick up your stuff and still make that delivery or pick up on time. Make sense? Okay, cool. Tacoma. Okay, so Tacoma, that one is a tougher one, I tell you. No, because we've got a lot coming out of Iowa back that direction. So you'll probably have to go pick up a load and then head that direction. So it's usually 2, I think, for Tacoma. But yeah, another good question. Our goal is to get you home as soon as possible to get your stuff. It just isn't necessarily for home time, because sometimes it's along the way and you have time to grab something and put your stuff in there. All right. Orientation. Yeah. Okay. So I'm rolling back to our orientation conversation. So that one is a 3-day orientation. For experienced drivers, I should probably note, a 3-day orientation for experienced drivers, and you get paid $500 for completing orientation. So day 1 starts with because we want you to have already done your physical, your drug tests, and the online orientation. Then you go straight into meeting some of the training department, getting to know some of our policies and procedures, and how to run the TransFlow geotab system, making sure that you know how to scale a load and use the communication through the geotab. I mean, there are like lots of different policies and procedures. Getting your paperwork in, how are you going to do that? Communicating with the fuel department when you need fuel, like all of that kind of stuff. Plan ahead and give your dispatcher a heads up and they will work with you. Okay, Steven says, just plan ahead and give your dispatcher a head up and they will work up. Yes, for home time, absolutely. Home time is a little bit different story, but to get your stuff is usually, initially, it's a lot of times it's through the house. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it is legit home time right coming out of the house. For flatbed, for Midwest flatbed, you're probably going on home time, and that it just makes it easier. That's just how it is. For over-the-road refrigerated, being out of Tacoma, it could be through the house. It could be for home time. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Stephen. All right. Where was I? Oh yeah, the orientation. So going through some of those policies and procedures and getting you familiar with the company. More familiar with like the day in and day out kind of responsibilities, managing your time, logs, all of the above. Now, day by day, you'll be going through a few things with the training department on, I think it's Wednesday right now, Tuesday right now. We switch those days around. So you'll be meeting some of the different departments. You'll visit with the recruiting department, and just kind of get an introduction there. Meet with your driver manager, that's usually Wednesday. You'll meet the safety department, the fuel department, benefits. They go through and walk you through that information. So if you have questions, those are the people to ask who are introducing it to you, because that's their day in and day out responsibility. So that's what they know really well. And then on Wednesday, you'll also do a walkthrough of the truck. The maintenance department takes the time, and I love this. This is big to me. The maintenance department takes time to walk you through a lot of the frequently asked questions, I guess. Running the APU unit. If you haven't had an APU in your truck before, it's nice to know how to run that, because sometimes if it's being quirky, you gotta crank the knob all the way over and then crank it back in order for it to work properly. I don't know why it does that. Sometimes that's what it does. But they'll give you some troubleshooting tips. Oh, I got muted there probably. Okay. But they will help you, and they are fantastic. In my opinion, my humble opinion, they are fantastic because they do a great job of supporting you through our 24/7 maintenance support, but then also with the A and B service, and just, if you have a concern, you just talk to them. Let them know. Make sure you give them a heads up, so if a trailer needs fixed, you're reporting it so they know to go and get it. If you're putting it, and now I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent, surprise. But if you picking up a trailer and it needs work, there are different locations at the terminals, which, by the way, that information will be available to you through your a workbook basically that you'll have for orientation. It's not really a workbook, but it has the information in there for you, contact information, terminal maps, things that you can, resources within there. But if you have a trailer that needs fixed, report that and make sure that you put it in the right location so that our maintenance department can take care of that before the next person needs it. So that we're not waiting and all we have are equipment that needs repair. That's not the case. We do not want you to run into that. Please do your part to communicate with us so we can take care of it and take care of you. Okay, see, tangent, it happens. But the maintenance department will go through all those details with you. They'll walk through the truck so you're familiar with how to run everything. We have smart TVs in the truck. We have 22-inch televisions, plus the Epic View satellite TV programming, all that good stuff. And there's more to come on that. We'll give updates on that here shortly. Anyways, and then we have the tablet in the truck, where it's located, how to use it. We'll have, what else do we have? The trucks. Speaking of trucks, let's talk about those. Mostly the 579 Peterbilts. Most of them have the APU units, unless it's one of our Opta-Idle trucks. The Opta-Idle trucks have, they have the inverters, they don't have the APU. But that is usually, I think that's only Freightliner right now. Most of them are 579 Peterbilts, though. We have some 740 Volvos for flatbed, 780 and 860 for refrigerated division. We have a few Freightliner Cascadia Evolutions. Those are the Opta-Idle. Most of our trucks are 579 Peterbilts, and like 80%. 95% or more. Where did I even get 80? Anyways, most of them are the Petes. They all have double bunks, APUs, refrigerators, microwaves, CB units, the Epic View satellite TV, and the programming and the TV. The CBs, yes, they are already in there. We have the Transfo Geotab system in the truck. We have both inward and outward facing event recorders in the truck. Those come on during critical events. So a question I get often is, when does it turn off? So the inward one does not record until you have a critical event, like following too close, hard braking, erratic lane change, speeding. Those are things that are critical events that will trigger the inward facing video recorder, okay? That said, it's not a live feed. So, plus we don't have anybody that would sit there and watch. But it's not a live feed. We didn't opt into it. It is the Lytx system, but there are a lot of features you can opt in for or opt out of. That's one that we don't need or care to. That said, what else did I want to say about that? When does it turn off? So when your truck turns off, it turns off within 15 seconds, the video. So if you want to put a hat over it, because I know some people like to, when they're parked, they want the peace of mind that nobody can see. That's fine. Put a hat over it. But it's not on anyway. it's off. We can't access it. You will see a light. I don't remember if it's a blue light or a red light. I'll have to remind myself, I'll have to go look. But you will see a light between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. because that's when they do the system updates. So it's not turning the recorder on, it's just updating. Now, if you're driving during that time, it will be doing the updates. But if you're in sleeper berth during that time, it'll still do the updates, but you'll see a little light. It doesn't mean that it's recording. It just means that it's updating. So, anyways, yeah. Is orientation every week or only when needed? Do you use Samsara? Orientation is weekly. So we start it for someone who's experienced, it starts on a Monday. Well, right now it starts on Monday, period. But for someone who's experienced, it's a 3-day orientation. For someone who's brand new to trucking, recent graduate of an approved school, it's a 5-day orientation. So you'll go with the trainer after that, but you have a 5-day orientation versus a 2 or versus a 3. Either way, it's still $500 for the week of orientation, is what we pay. Oh, and the other exception is if you are going into flatbed, you have experience, but you still need securement training and tarping training, then it'll extend a little as well. Samsara. What? I should know what that is. What is that? Let me look. Samsara. I am not familiar with that. I know I've heard of it. Is that... I'm looking here to see. We use the TransFlow Geotab system. Is Samsara a comparison? Or like, is it the competition? I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to have to research that. It's an ELD. Okay, so we use the TransFlow Geotab system. I knew that sounded familiar. And I'm looking it up, but it's not one that we use that I'm aware of. Where we have the TransFlow Geotab system in the truck. I do believe that we are looking at testing some things, but yeah, that's not one that we use for everybody. TransFlow Geotab system, and yeah, good question. Now you piqued my curiosity. I'm gonna have to explore that a little bit. Well, there's something else that, let me look at these. Oh, I was going to go back to what Stephen said. So he said, plan ahead, give your dispatcher a heads up, they'll work with you. They are really good at working with you for home time. And I can name a ton of options where there are individuals that have to get home because of a family emergency. They'll work with you. They'll do their best to get you there with the truck, but sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes if it's a family emergency, you've got to look at other options. And so we will work with you that way. Seriously, the operations department, they're phenomenal. They know we're humans. They know that life happens and sometimes it's out of our control, but we still need to be able to take care of it. And they are there to support you. They are there to do their best to support you. Yeah. So communication is key. The better and more consistent you are at communicating to your driver manager, the better relationship you'll have. Just because you both will earn trust with each other. And I think that's the case for anybody that you're working with. Relevant communication, I should say, right? Because as soon as I said that, I'm like, huh. Yeah. But they will do their best. Now, that kind of reminded me, for when we go through the expectation form, when you go through that with your recruiter, you'll also go through that expectation form with your driver manager. So if there are, maybe you need to be home every 2 weeks, that's the thing. And that was the agreement when you signed on because of family. All right, let's do that's what we're going to do our best to. Couple of things on that expectation form that don't always come up in the normal conversation when asking questions is, do we do night driving? Yes, we do night driving. Do we guarantee home on the weekends? No, we don't guarantee refrigerated home on the weekends. Flatbed, we can. Refrigerated, no. What's another one we ask? Sometimes we're asked, do you do Chicago? We do Chicago. Pretty much everything. Yeah, like every division is going to run Chicago. Do you do the New England states? We really don't. We have some runs that go into southwestern. This is me drawing the state. We have some runs in the refrigerated division that will go to southern New York, like not even to Buffalo, it's a little south of there. So we have an ice cream run there. But most of the time we stay out of the New England states, New York City. Yeah, we really don't do a whole lot of that. And if that's an area that you're wanting to stay out of, like you won't run there, you don't like to run there, that's okay. Just communicate that with your recruiter so we can put that on your expectation form, and so that your driver manager also knows that. So again, you'll have that conversation with the recruiter before you come to orientation, before you are approved. That's part, like, before you have to do a repayment agreement or anything like that. That's a conversation done ahead of time. And then you have the rest of that expectation and the repayment agreement signature and stuff. So, I mean, it goes in order, so it's not backwards by any means. And then you have the conversation with the driver manager in person once you're in orientation, so that it's just a reminder to them, or passing on that information to them, I guess. What else? I think that was about it. Thank you for all the help these last few weeks. You're welcome. I love the questions, Chuck. You do a great job with those. I'm going to have to push the button. Sounds good. By the way, 877-433-2537. That's the recruiting department. You can get a hold of them and they'll answer the question. They'll be consistent too. So, what else? Oh, drivedecker.com if you want to apply online. Drivedecker.com and hit the apply now button. If you have an Intelli app, or if you use 10th Street, we use 10th Street, so you can sign into that and fill out an Intelli app as well. Cool? All right. Let them know that you heard about us on YouTube. That helps us keep track. Is it worth answering your questions here? You know, we want to make sure that we're answering. I'm going to say yes since you're here. And I appreciate all of our professional drivers here at Decker who hop on. Stephen, thank you for hopping on and sharing in the communication, sharing in the info. So, yeah. Cool? All right. Have a great one. We appreciate you. Next Tuesday, we will be going live at 7 p.m. Watch our Facebook page in order to see that live stream, and that will be our Decker Awards ceremony. We'll go live during the day, just like we always do, to answer questions. So we'll have our Q&A on Tuesday. We have one every Monday at 4 p.m. Central on our Facebook page, so you can join us there as well. Have an awesome rest of your week. Stay safe. Enjoy the sunshine that you get. Take care, you guys.